Welcome to the WSDOT Project Management Guide training. Project Cost Estimating. Congratulations! You're starting a new project, and you need to know how to prepare a project cost estimate. Now what? Be prepared. Be sure to review the WSDOT Cost Estimating Manual for projects. It's more of an art than a science. Cost estimating requires a thorough understanding of the project scope, past price history, understanding current market conditions, and a generous application of human judgment. Make estimating a priority and utilize appropriate time and resources. Another great resource is the WSDOT Project Management Guide website. Click on the cost budget icon. There are many resources here, from templates, tools and materials, training, examples, contacts, and more for cost estimating and budgeting. Project cost estimating. Know the rules. Project cost estimates should be as accurate and reliable as possible. Never artificially reduced to stay within the funding limits. Never artificially raised beyond the contingency percentages, unless adequately justified. The detailed construction estimate shall not be disclosed to the public and must be kept confidential until the end of the bid opening. However, rough cost ranges can be shared. The cost estimating process from planning through PS&E can be organized into 7 steps. Step 1. Project information. Collect the information you need. A good deal of existing project information is typically available from various sources, including the basis of design, the context and modal accommodation report, the intersection control evaluation, and a variety of other reports and studies. Outline a reasonable schedule to prepare the cost estimate in line with the level of project development. Step 2. Basis of estimate. Determine the basis of estimate by preparing a document that provides a trail about what is known about the project at that time, enables the agency to easily track changes to project scope, cost, and schedule, clearly identifies project knowns and unknowns. Step 3. Prepare your estimate. First, let's look at the components of an estimate. These are expressed in today's dollars. Preliminary engineering base estimate. This is your budget for your entire design phase, including environmental, permitting, consultants if any, communications, open houses, survey, right-of-way plan preparation, and all specialty services and subject matter experts that will be charging their time through final design closeout. A word of caution: don't be caught off guard with the potentially significant expense of the advertising phase of work. Scope changes. This is an allowance for changes to your project as design progresses. Before advertisement, the design must be locked down and no additional changes should occur. Right-of-way base estimate. This includes the real estate services staff time and/or a consultant to assess the various real estate needs, prepare all the documentation, purchase the properties and/or easements, and finalize the documentation with the county and state. Construction base estimate. This includes WSDOT's contract administration, office engineering, including the management, inspection, compliance monitoring, closeout, and nearly everything in the construction phase, including the contractor's payments. It also includes below-the-line costs and taxes. This constitutes the estimate, which is an opinion of realistic cost. It is objective, neutral, unbiased, and documented. Known risks. This is where you account for your known risks that can cause your estimate to go up. Using the Cost Risk Assessment tool and/or Cost Estimate Validation Process tool will help refine this part of your cost estimate. Escalation. This includes inflation and other cost influences. Escalation translates portions of your estimate from today's dollars to year of expenditure dollars. These elements of your estimate constitute the program amount, expressed in today's dollars. On top of this, you can have unknown risks. Things you never thought of or ever imagined could affect your project. There are 4 methods of estimating that may be applied to projects at various stages of development, and they include parametric, historical bid-based, cost-based, and risk-based. Each method offers techniques and tools. A combination of these methods is often used. Considerations should also be made for specialty items. There are a number of specialty items in WSDOT projects that are estimated by designated specialty groups. These items include bridges, non-standard retaining walls, traffic items, right-of-way, environmental features, utilities, and other specialty group-specific items. Specialty group should prepare these parts of your project estimate. It is also important to understand if you have any costs to be shared by non-WSDOT sources, such as cities, counties, agencies, utilities, or private entities. Parametric method of estimating. Two techniques are commonly used. 1. Analogous or similar projects. This is comparing your project to a very similar one that was already estimated and/or complete. And 2. Historical percentages. Parametric methods are applied to projects in the planning, scoping, or early design stage. These methods involve techniques that use historical data to define the cost of the typical transportation facility using measurements that are easily determined. Examples include cost per lane mile, cost per interchange, cost per square foot, cost per intersection, etc. These are based on certain factors, such as rural or urban, highway or interstate, project assumptions, and other unique features. WSDOT uses an estimating program to support parametric estimating. The Planning Level Project Cost Estimating Tool. Historical bid-based method of estimating. Commonly used to develop WSDOT construction cost estimates and are appropriate when design definition has advanced to the point where detailed quantification of bid items is possible. The unit cost prices used are collected and stored from prior projects. They should be modified or adjusted to reflect current prices and project-specific conditions such as today's current prices, geographic location, quantity of items needed, and complexity of the project work. Techniques such as historical bid pricing, historical percentage, and cost-based estimating are also used to determine unit prices. Estimating data sources include eBase bid history. This is probably the most widely used tool, once design has advanced far enough along to identify bid items and quantities for at least those 20% of major items that make up about 80% of the construction cost. We'll go through an example using this method in a minute. Oman Systems Bid Tabs Professional Bid History. WSDOT Unit Bid Analysis Bid History. RS means cost data, cost-based, when WSDOT specific unit costs are not available. This tool can be used for both historic bid-based and cost-based methods. Risk modeling, WSDOT project risk analysis model, and risk-based project cost estimating. Cost-based method of estimating. Based on estimating the contractor's cost for materials, equipment, and labor for an item or a set of items, plus the contractor's overhead and profit. For situations where historical unit prices are not available, or where historical bid information is not suitable for the project. Focus on those items that comprise the largest dollar value of the project, typically 20% of items that account for 80% of project cost. The remainder of the estimate can be determined using historical bid-based estimate methods. Risk-based method of estimating. Uses the probabilistic relationships between base cost, base durations, and risks related to the project. Risks, including both opportunities and threats, are defined and applied to the base cost through Monte Carlo simulation modeling to provide a probable range for both the project cost and the schedule. The schedule and cost are integrated into the same model. WSDOT uses either or both the Cost Risk Assessment (CRA) tool and the Cost Estimate Validation Process (CVEP) tool. The latter is for larger value, more complex projects. No matter which method of estimation you choose, you can apply the 3 points beta or PERT weighted distribution option. Take your optimistic estimate plus your most likely estimate times 4 plus your pessimistic estimate and divide by 6 to get your 3 points beta or PERT weighted distribution estimate. The beta distribution is a weighted average giving more weight to the most likely estimate, which increases its accuracy by making it follow the normal distribution curve. The WSDOT Cost Risk Assessment website has a lot of very helpful information and links. Project Risk Management Guidance. Identify and assess risks within projects. Initiate and conduct a CRA or CVEP workshop. Report CRA or CVEP workshops. And estimating. The WSDOT Project Estimating Template is available on WSDOT's website. It uses the historical bid-based method of estimating. This tool has data for both traditional design bid build and design build project estimation. It also has a basis of estimate template and a helpful checklist. Be sure to check out all the resource tools on the lower portion of this page. Let's do a quick overview of the design bid build template. Project bid item estimating. Working in the yellow cells, enter a standard bid item number, and the description and unit of measure will automatically populate. Enter your item quantity. Now, consult the WSDOT Unit Bid Analysis tool, which is also available on WSDOT's website. It contains many years of bid history for every standard and many non-standard bid items. It's an incredible source of data. Fill out the form fields. Note that you can request the data specific to your project's area of the state. Geographic location can greatly affect unit bid prices. It is recommended to keep your date range within 2 to 5 years. Any older, and the unit prices will be too out of date. In this example, enter standard item number 25. Click on Table Standard Item Report to download the data. The downloaded report will look like this. Look at the planned quantity column and find those that are similar to your project quantity. In this example, look for quantities close to 2.5 acres. Look at the bids and find a reasonable average. These show the 3 lowest bidders on those contracts. Some judgment calls and intuition may be necessary. Again, this is more an art than a science. Look at the bid dates and know that if the bids are more than a year or 2 old, you should consider inflating them to today's dollars. If you see any anomalies, consider not including these in your average calculation. For instance, notice the $94,000 bid when the first 2 bids were $12,000 each. Recommend to not include this $94,000 in your average calculation. If you feel your project will be more complicated than a typical project for this bid item work, then you might want to steer closer to the top end of these bids. Likewise, if your project is very simple, then perhaps you might want to be closer to the low end of the bid range. Also, if your project will be restrictive on work hours, difficult construction site constraints, or method of work, your unit bid price might be on the higher end of the spectrum. Otherwise, pick what you feel is a good approximate value. It looks like a reasonable value would be $19,000 per acre for this example. Enter your item unit cost. You can enter any notes, assumptions, or backup information to help with later updates. Remember, do not include any inflation, escalation, allowance, padding, contingency, or any other type of adjustment for unknowns. Accounting for these will occur later in your estimate process. It is recommended that you use WSDOT standard bid items because it makes your estimate easier to develop and document, more defensible, and more likely the contractors can submit tighter bids. Non-standard items represent a level of risk for WSDOT and the contractor, and the bids may come with a little extra contingency tacked on. You can, however, enter non-standard item when necessary. Leave the standard item number blank and entering your non-standard bid item name, unit of measure, item quantity, and unit cost. You will need to document your reason for not using a standard bid item, as well as your calculation of its unit cost. The same goes for any lump sum items you propose. Now, move to the next item, and so forth. This tool covers all the bid item categories. Be sure to consult with the various specialty groups, especially the bridge and structures, environmental, traffic, utilities, and the construction office. Make sure, when collecting cost estimates from other team members for their portion of the design, that they do not ever include any inflation, escalation, allowance, padding, contingency, or any other type of adjustment for unknowns. You will be accounting for that, and you don't want to be doubling or tripling up on that type of contingency. Do not underassume construction maintenance of traffic items, i.e. traffic control. Be sure to have the assistance of the construction office and/or construction experts in developing this portion of the estimate, as these bid items can consume a large portion of the budget. Also, be sure to account for any utility conflicts and understand who pays for temporary and/or permanent relocations. If WSDOT pays, then include this in your estimate. This goes for private and public utilities. There is a place for other items that don't fit within any of the other bid item categories. Near the bottom of this worksheet is a place to enter below-the-line items, or more specifically, level 700 items that include sales tax and level 800 items that are not taxed, which must be included in the base cost estimate, although they are not bid on by the contractor. These items are part of the overall cost to deliver the contract, but not performed by the contractor, and include things like railroad flagging, state patrol, etc. Estimating hints. Use the expertise of specialty groups to provide input to your estimate, which can greatly increase its accuracy. Be aware and inform others who are assisting in the cost estimate about any unique issues or uncertainties that you think might affect it. Ask specialty groups about what kind of contingency they recommend for the specialty work and justification of it. Economy of scale plays a large factor in estimating projects. When using a previous project's data, be sure both projects are of similar size for the item. Allow adequate time to estimate the costliest items. In most cases, they have the most influence on overall cost. Once you have included all the bid items you know about at this stage in your design, then go to the bottom of the worksheet. Enter your assumption of the contractor's mobilization, expressed as a percentage. Usually, 10% is appropriate. Next, enter your design allocation percentage. This is your known unknowns, items that have not been identified or quantified yet, but you know you will later in design. Depending on where you are in your level of design, your design allocation will change from a high percentage to a low percentage until you reach advertisement, at which time your design allocation must be 0. Next, enter the sales tax percentage that applies to the location of the project. Construction engineering are the funds for WSDOT's contract administration, office engineering, management, inspection, compliance monitoring, closeout, and nearly everything in the construction phase, except for the contractor's payments. This is usually based on a percentage of the contract value, and the percentage will vary by type of work and total dollar amount of the contract. See the Info CE% tab at the bottom of the worksheet for guidance. Identify your work program and your project cost range to get your construction engineering percentage. Enter that percentage here. Note that the worksheet automatically includes 4% for construction change order contingencies. This is an allowance for unexpected conditions or circumstances encountered post-award during construction. Typically, 4% is used for all projects, regardless of type or size. Next, preliminary engineering are the funds for the entire design phase. It is estimated based on a percentage of the construction estimate. This percentage will vary by type of work and total dollar amount of the contract. See the Info CE% tab at the bottom of the worksheet for guidance. Identify your work program and your project cost range to get your preliminary engineering percentage. This establishes your budget for the entire design phase, including environmental, permitting, consultants if any, communications, open houses, survey, right-of-way plan preparation, and all specialty services and subject matter experts that will be charging their time to your design. Enter that percentage here. Finally, ask the real estate services to estimate the right-of-way costs for your project, which includes the real estate services staff time and/or a consultant to assess the various real estate needs, prepare all the documentation, purchase the properties and/or easements, and finalize the documentation with the county and state. Be sure to document any risks, assumptions, and exclusions in your project estimate. The Summary tab provides your overall project cost estimate. It is very important to update this at least at every stage of your design and document everything. How much escalation do you need to add to your estimate to reflect year of expenditure dollars? To figure this out, you need to have an idea of when these dollars will be spent, so you need an outline of your spend plan. What is an estimate spend plan? This is how you estimate the budget to actually be spent. For more details on creating your full spend plan, see this spend plan video, available on the WSDOT Project Management Guide website. But here's a quick glance at it. This is your schedule for spending. You estimate approximately how many dollars you will spend each year, broken out by preliminary engineering, right-of-way, and construction. This is truly an art, and with time and experience, it will become easier. You should know when preliminary engineering was authorized to start, and you should know your approximate advertisement date. While every project is unique, you can most likely assume the preliminary engineering, including environmental and permitting, will occur between these two milestones, and likely extending a few months past the add date to accommodate final preliminary engineering closeout. Right-of-way must be complete before advertisement, often 1 to 6 months before the add date, and this phase may start a few years before that. Remember, even if your project doesn't require any property purchases, you likely will still need temporary construction easements, which can still take time. Ask the Real Estate Services Office for recommendations on this. Construction is usually the largest portion of a project budget. The Construction Office can help you determine approximately how long construction should last. Now you have an outline of your spend plan. So, how many of today's dollars should be estimated for each of these phases that occur years from now? An easy method is to identify the median year of each phase. Calculate an escalation from today to the midpoint of each phase. That will get you a good overall project cost estimate, which is good for smaller projects. See this spend plan video to learn how to calculate a more specific escalated cost estimate, which is best for mid-sized to larger projects. Let's start with your construction phase estimate. A few minutes ago, we went through how to develop your construction estimate. In today's dollars, you will estimate the escalation from today's dollars to the midpoint of construction to convert your estimate to that year's dollars. Escalation is the persistent rise in the cost of commodities, goods, and services due to a combination of inflation, supply and demand, and other effects such as environmental changes, engineering changes, technological changes, environmental effects, political, and other effects. To calculate escalation, open the most current WSDOT cost index table and find the current year. For example, 2025. It doesn't make a difference if you use the 1987 equals 100 or the 1970 equals 1 column. Now, for the construction estimate, find the midpoint year of construction. Let's say the year 2031. Take 389.14 and divide by 339.37. This equals 1.1467 or 14.67% escalation. Multiply your construction estimate by 1.1467 to get your estimate in year of expenditure dollars at the midpoint year of construction. Now do the same for the right-of-way estimate to the midpoint year of right-of-way expenditure. And for the preliminary engineering estimate to the midpoint year of design expenditure. Remember, when you are sharing your cost estimate, be sure to make it clear if you are stating in today's dollars or the year of expenditure dollars, so this is not misunderstood. This was a very quick overview of preparing a project estimate. Be sure to read the WSDOT Cost Estimating Manual and learn more about each of the tools available. Step 4. Review estimate. The estimate review plays an important role in ensuring the quality of the estimate and contributes to the overall quality of the PS&E package. Have an independent team, including internal specialty groups and/or subject matter experts, review your documents and confirm project and estimate assumptions are appropriate for the project. The base cost estimate is an accurate reflection of the project's scope of work. Scope, schedule, and cost items are calculated properly, and required components are not missing or double counted. Historical and other data used was realistic and reflects project scope and site conditions. Your estimate should be updated based on the recommendations of the independent review. Step 5. Risk assessment. This captures the effect of uncertainties on project cost and schedule using a structured and documented approach. Agency Policy 1053, Project Risk Management and Risk-Based Estimating, provides instructions on how and when a risk assessment must be performed. This is not required for every project. The WSDOT Project Risk Management Guide provides the needed detail of how risk assessment is employed. This involves assessing market conditions by internal and external subject matter experts. Step 6. Communication approach. This determines what estimate information should be shared internally and externally. Who should receive this information? How the information should be communicated, and when. The following guidance is provided when making public declarations of cost estimates. 1. An estimate is a range, not a single number. 2. An estimate for a project should include everything: preliminary engineering, right-of-way, and construction. 3. An estimate should be stated in the year of expenditure dollars. Step 7. Endorsement. Management should endorse the estimate. Continually update your estimate at each milestone, revisiting each of these 7 steps as appropriate. Revised, updated estimates should also be re-endorsed by management. This is the complete cycle of cost estimating for your project. Congratulations! You have just completed your project cost estimate. To learn more, see the WSDOT Cost Estimating Manual.